welcome to the Postmodern Art Podcast, the podcast dedicated to giving artists who are wowing the world over the platform they deserve. I'm your host, Aiden Ragland, and for today's episode, if you were looking for a fun conversation with a Nebula Cloud talking about the 90s and enjoying some fun quality time at the arcade, well then, let's do it! Today's guest is Roshan Galaxy, a Nebula Cloud Vtuber whose love for the 90s aesthetics and arcades can be seen and shown in streams and more. Roshan has been a very good, very close friend of mine ever since I've really gone forth with this podcast journey, so I knew it was only a matter of time before I really brought Roshan on to really present this incredible persona that they have for themselves. Plus, as you'll see, we have a major announcement to make. I won't spoil it now, I'll wait for you to get to that point in the episode. But if you do enjoy Roshan, please make sure you support them with the links down in the description below. If you enjoy the podcast, make sure you like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. Leave 5 stars wherever you can. You know I see that stuff and you know it genuinely warms my heart. Speaking of subscribing, I highly recommend you do that as we are currently on the hunt to get 2,500 subs by the end of 2024. If we hit that goal, I will get my first tattoo as designed and decided by you, the community. That's right. You guys will absolutely present some of the incredible pieces that could be etched onto my body, and you guys will be the ones to decide what is going to be that piece. So I highly recommend you subscribe to the podcast today if you're not already. And look, if you want a different way to show that love and support for this podcast, may I recommend checking out the merch shop at fourthwall.com. Link to that will be in the description below. Trust me, especially after this episode, you might want to peer over there and see just some of the incredible designs that we have on full display. But now, without further ado, please enjoy the Postmodern Art Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
That's good to hear. I saw you were streaming a little bit earlier. What was it? What the Golf?
I was. What the Golf, yeah. It's such a wild-ass game.
I've seen you play it, and I've seen some other people play it as well, and I can tell it is a very unique game.
To say the least, yeah. It's one of those where it's like, in order to really experience it, you have to play for yourself to be like, okay, all right.
No, absolutely.
And I've done that many times. Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Because, like, every single time I see a person play it or whatnot, it's just like they always have to ask the question of, like, what in the world am I even playing? What is this?
And that pretty much goes to show you, like, if you look into the devs' other works, you'll be asking the same question over and over again.
I had a very similar situation like that when I was interviewing a pair of game developers a couple weeks back. The studio is Forward Instinct, and they're making a game called Keepsake County, a Midwestern stealth game.
Oh, boy.
And, like, the thing is, like, if you look at their previous work, like, you could tell there's a bit of, like, you know, somewhat of a, I'm not going to say cheapness, but somewhat of a low budget, but, like, you know,
yeah,
somewhat, like, thought-provoking or, like, you know, stuff that it probably has, like, a very personal thing to it or whatnot. And yet here they are creating this game to where all they're doing is basically making you a thief with a crappy Walmart bag, stealing into people's houses in nowhere, Oklahoma, or wherever it is, you know?
The premise itself is already amazing.
Absolutely. I was gonna say, if you are interested, I know they have a itch.io to where you can play the beta. It's like it's like $15 right now, but if you pay for the beta whenever it actually goes live, like complete, you don't have to pay for like the game over again. But like honestly, like just getting to see it, because I saw them at MomoCon when I went to the convention earlier this year. Seeing it and then getting to talk to them about like the actual like thought that went into making such a silly concept, like it's really interesting. It's definitely like, if people are not already doing it, they definitely need to like take a chance to play it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh goodness. But let's see. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I can only imagine your busy schedule.
Yeah, busy schedule. Yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, I do seriously want to say thank you for taking the time to do this, and thank you for all that you've done over the years. Like, I know I'm going to, you know, mention it probably towards, like, the tail end of the podcast when I'm doing my little praise or whatnot. But,
yeah.
like, I really do appreciate all the support you've given me, like, throughout the years, big and small, especially now with this, this big project that we're definitely going to be talking about in the podcast itself. I really do appreciate it.
Well, you're also one to talk for giving me all the support all these years.
Friends help friends. It's that kind of thing,
Yeah.
All right. Let's do this. Let's do
Let's
it.
do it. Let's. Thanks. What the fuck is his name?
Name is slipping me. I mean, it's okay, KO.
Rad.
There you go.
Thanks, Rad.
The thing is, I hear that, let's do it, and then I just want to immediately go, lead. Like, right afterward. Okay, Roshan, before we really get going, I must ask the icebreaker question of the podcast, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you get to go to a desert island on your own accord. It's just you, alone with your thoughts. You get to kick back, relax, breathe, truly enjoy yourself for a little bit. With accommodations, you're not stranded on a desert island yet. But you have the amenities, like it's a little personal, like paradise B&B away from society for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
To make sure you don't go completely insane on this island, you can bring one piece of media or one piece of art with you to help with whatever kind of headspace you want on this island. If given this opportunity, what would that one piece be?
One piece of media?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question.
I know, that's why I've asked.
One piece of meat. That's one hell of a icebreaker to like introduce me with,
right,
because there's so many, so many to choose from.
I'm hoping that this is like the hardest question for you to answer, so that everything else is easy in comparison.
That's fair. Shit, that's a really good question. Because
I can tell
for the rest,
you're a connoisseur of many different forms of media in one way or another. So.
I have an eclectic taste, if you could say that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, like, that kind of question is very hard, because one minute I'll be like, oh, like, maybe OKKO, or, oh, maybe, Rise of TMNT, or, oh, I don't know, I don't really know, what's, like, something,
No, next minute, Bug Snacks or something like that.
Literally. I mean, like, one of those could be it, but,
keep in mind, like, this is your own personal paradise. You're there as long as you want to, or whatnot.
As long as I want.
Yeah, this is a little paradise. Like, why would you be forced to stay in a paradise longer than you want to,
Like, for some reason I thought my mind immediately went, like, instead of paradise, it's a deserted island, for whatever reason. I don't know where I got that from.
Again, I'm emphasizing, this is a paradise. You have all the amenities that you want. You just have no media there. And you're there as long as you want, so you can enjoy one piece of media to bring along with you to enjoy on this little paradise.
I would have to go with Steven Universe.
Steven Universe, okay. It's a very good choice. May I ask why that's the one you go to and instantly connect with?
Either Steven Universe or Adventure Time, because both of them, like, I really have a connection with those two.
Okay. I was gonna say, I can imagine, especially with some of the aesthetic of Steven Universe, how that's kind of infiltrated into how you like to present yourself or what. I can imagine how much of an influence a show like that has kind of had on you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But regardless, Steven Universe, that is your answer. You're locking that in.
Yes.
Then if that's the case, I cannot think of a better way to start the Postmodern Art Podcast. Welcome everyone, I am your host, Nathan Ragland. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. You would look fantastic in the merch that we have on the merch shop. Go to fourthwall.com. Link to that will be in the description below. And follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and TikTok at PostmodArtPod for future updates and guest announcements, including today's guest. They are a Nebula Cloud VTuber whose love for the 90s and arcades can be seen and shown in streams and more. Welcome to the podcast, Roshan Galaxy!
Yay! Nice to be here.
It is a pleasure to have you here as well. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Relatively like lowish energy for the most part because I did stream earlier today.
I mean, and if trust me, I was able to peek in for a little bit, and it was just as good as any other stream you've been able to pull off, if I do say so myself.
Thank you.
For me, it's a pleasure to really have you here because you and I, especially over the past couple of years, we've really got to really know each other, and we've kind of discussed here and there about having you on the podcast at a certain point, and especially with, you know, a little bit of a surprise that I shall be announcing later on the podcast. I feel like now is a better time than any to kind of bring you on. Now, for those that are keen-eyed and of keen ear and whatnot, you might recognize Roshan from a previous appearance that, you know, they've had on the podcast. And for those that know, let's just say you guys know fairly well. So some of the questions I've asked you before, I don't really feel like I need to ask you again, unless you want to...
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. I will say your appearance on Google Trendy was absolutely fantastic, and I think people know exactly what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
But before we really talk about the stuff that you are doing nowadays or whatnot, I want to go back just a little bit and learn more or less the origin of Roshan. At the very least, exactly Roshan. What inspired you to present yourself as this, you know, incredible Roshan Galaxy? How exactly did you come into the world and present yourself to the fantastic people before us today?
Well, this was around the time when like the VTuber boom like essentially started around 2020, 2021. Well, it's like it was like when I saw like my friends, a bunch of my friends who are like they started like doing like VTubing stuff. Like I knew about VTubing like since Kizu no Ai, but I didn't really look into it until like way later. And I wanted at first because like a lot of my friends like were furry VTubers. Like they ended up being very furry VTubers.
Okay.
I wanted to be a furry, but like at first I actually wanted to be a furry, but like I wasn't entirely sure which direction to go towards. And like I kept ruminating on it for a little bit. And then like I remember before I was about to go to sleep, instantly in my mind, like it went Galaxy head.
Galaxy
and
literally galaxy brain.
Yeah. But from there I like doodled like some ideas and whatnot. At first I was going to be like an actual galaxy head, but then like it like came to the point where it's like I would have a really hard time expressing myself if I was just a galaxy, like literal galaxy heads. But after some back and forth and whatnot, it was decided to be a nebula cloud instead, and with the help of some some awesome peeps like behind the scenes. But like mainly on my part, Roshan came to be. One thing that like I will say with the as you can see, the color block shirt that I'm wearing right now, it was actually like inspired by a lot of color block shirts from like different storefronts that I forgot the names of, but like different storefronts of like color block shirts that like I have always wanted but never could afford. So essentially like the color block shirt I'm wearing right now is essentially like the kind of shirt that I've always wanted to have. So it's what I'm wearing right now. And
there you go.
if you're ever wondering like what it looks like underneath like all this, just jeans and just jeans and Converse, I believe. I don't know.
hey, we're here for comfort, not style, all right? And
exactly,
you somehow found a way to mesh both, so good on you.
Thank you.
Now, I did want to go back just more or less, just a hair, just a little moment or whatnot. Back to, obviously, whenever you first discovered VTubing in the first place with your friends actually going into that VTubing world. What was it about VTubing that you in particular, like, you saw and you were like, I feel like this is something I'd like to do. Like, I feel like I could be comfortable here. What is it about VTubing that intrigued you and dragged you into it?
Well, like, I actually was, like, I wouldn't say, like, a streamer, but I have done, like, live streams beforehand, but it was, like, mainly faceless streams where it's just, like, me playing a game, like, and just, like, talking in a microphone and whatnot, like, for a bit. And either that or just, like, drawing, like, while typing in chat. And I think like one of the big aspects of like VTubing is that like you don't have to show your face, and like that's one thing that like steered me away from streaming for a while.
Okay.
Because like I haven't been like shy of like showing my face, but I'm not comfortable like doing it all the time, if that makes sense.
That's valid. It's one of those like it's not that you're against showing your face, but it's one of those like you would prefer just kind of that comfort of not having it on full blast the entire time while you're streaming or whatnot, and
pretty much, yeah.
And you can easily test this as someone that's been VTubing for quite a while now or whatnot. It's cool to have both like the personality and the expressionism that you have, like if you were to turn on your face cam, with a little bit of that like privacy and secrecy, just kind of just like relax while doing it without having that fear of like, oh god, what are they thinking when they see me? Oh god, what's
exactly. exactly. You nailed it.
Well, I'm glad I can relate in a sense, because I've personally thought about like streaming myself. It's just the issue with me is like the issue with me right now is I have no faith in my setup, at least because I'm doing it I'm just doing this right here or whatnot. I'm doing it off of a $1,000 gaming laptop that I've had with a cheap webcam and $100 microphone. Could I do it? Probably. Do I have faith in doing it? No.
It's completely understandable, especially with like I've like learned like very quickly that like some like aspects about like wanting to do certain streams, like if you want to play certain games, do certain like setups and whatnot, it requires a little bit more than what you've got. Not saying that like what you've got is like unusable, but you really have to do your research on the specs on certain things in order to get to where you need to be.
Like I could probably do this like super duper base level streaming stuff if I was gonna do like more face cam stuff or like chat, like just chatting or talk show stuff or whatnot. Like maybe, but like I want to have that fun like interactive element, and I feel like it'd be a lot harder to do with just the bare bones setup. Now, if I eventually get to points where I have like an actual solid computer with a good good desktop thing or whatnot, and more space and more RAM and more data. But regardless, it's cool to see that like you taking that step forward and really presenting yourself, especially with such a unique concept. Like I know I said this to a lot of VTubers I've had on this podcast, but like your concept alone of the Nebula Cloud Galaxy Brain or whatnot, that is like it's
I'm not a Galaxy Brain, I'm a Galaxy
Look,
I get what you're saying.
It's for the joke. It's for the ha-has.
I mean, you're already achieving it. I'm laughing my ass off right now.
Well, let me put it like this: the Nebula Cloud concept is actually Galaxy Brain in my mind, because it's very smart. It's very unique, and I can't think of too many, if not any VTubers that have also followed down that path. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's really cool that you've gone with that. So what was it about that concept that like grabbed you in and made you be like, I need to be this?
I've always been like very intrigued by like 80s, 90s, early 2000s aesthetics, like practically all my life, as like especially like having grown up like during like part of that era. It's like one of those, and like it's like in a way you can say that it's nostalgia, but like it's also one of those things where it's like because I've seen like resurgence of like some of those old aspects, like cassette tapes are coming back, vinyls are coming back,
yes,
like all that kind of stuff, and I'm like, why not like VHS tapes, because I grew up with VHS tapes and I love that style. I love the like just like the like watching a VHS tape on like a small CRT TV kind of like vibe. That like vibe is just like so like it's so unique within itself that I cannot like get rid of it. And also another thing that I've always loved are arcades.
Yes.
As somebody who's like always loved to go to places like Dave and Buster and whatnot, and I especially love going to like bowling places and everything, so I love like taking like aspects of that and incorporating that into my streams and whatnot. Like there's still like so much that like I want to like add to, but like what I've added so far, like I'm glad like people have like resonated with that. so much as I have.
I mean, it's a really, like, those aesthetics are absolutely fantastic. And that's the thing I definitely want to talk about, like, especially, like, as we go more into the conversation, because it's really, it's a good basis. Like, I know some people call it nostalgia these days because nostalgia is like a 30-year gap or something along the lines of that, which that tells us how old we are. Jesus, Lord help us.
Yeah, God.
But regardless, like, it's a good aesthetic to kind of take from. So again, it goes back to kind of leading to like the Nebula Cloud thing. Where exactly did that aspect of it? How did you find an interesting way to like incorporate this literal out of this world concept and find a way to incorporate it into such fun aesthetics? Like, what is it about the Nebula Cloud that you think fits well with these aesthetics?
You're adding more thought-provoking stuff into something that literally was just like a conversation. I didn't really think about it like that much. Like, I just, like, I discussed it with my partner, who, like, I need to give credit to, like, helping me, like, get to the Nebula Cloud, like, aspect of it. Like, they're the reason why, like, my eyes are stars.
Oh, okay. That's that. Yeah, it's a smart idea.
It is. And it's like one of those things where it just like two and two got put together, like, just naturally, like, coincidentally, and it just like, well, there you go.
I mean, that's fair. I didn't know how. I mean, I know you said it kind of just came to you right whenever you were about to pass out or whatnot one night, but like, I didn't know how much more thought you had put into it past that. I mean, still, it's a good aesthetic. It's a fun thing. Plus, I think the ambiguity of being a Nebula Cloud kind of leads into the ambiguity of yourself when it comes to like as a person or whatnot.
I would say so, yeah. Especially with like how not too many people know this, but I can shapeshift into like any being that I want. Ooh. And I need to specify that. Like, I only like shapeshift into beings, not objects. Beings, and only stuff that I want to be and I know of. I'm not the kind of like, it's really interesting. Like, some people assume because I'm technically a celestial being that I'm some sort of god or something, but no. Yeah, like, in the technical sense, I am an alien, so it's not like I'm not some omnipotent being like that I can like instantly like transform you into like a goldfish or whatever if you piss me off. I'm not the kind of I'm not.
So people think you're, you know, people think you're Odin, but you're more like John Jones, the Martian from Justice League or whatnot. Just like you can just change your form and it looks cool, okay?
Exactly. That's just, I mean, I grew up with Justice League, so that kind of counts.
You can add that one to the inspiration board, intentional or otherwise.
I mean, some people have assumed that, like, I took my inspiration from, Mr. Small from, The Amazing World of Gumball, when no, that was just happenstance. I was like, oh yeah, he's a cloud being. I forgot.
I mean, at least it's better that and not, for example, Fart from Rick and Morty, you know.
Oh, Jesus Christ, no.
Yeah. But regardless, like, the Nebula Cloud, being that you are or whatnot, I just think it's really cool and how you've been able to embrace that, but not only just like embrace it, but like really put alive yourself out there with some of the aesthetics. I know you kind of hinted at it with like the 90s and the arcade stuff. I want to emphasize the arcade for a second, like, especially with not only especially with how you've been able to present yourself, especially with where you more or less reside when you're doing your streaming or whatnot in, what is it, the Cosmic Arcade? Correct me if I'm wrong. How you
the arcade dimension.
The arcade dimension. Jesus, I need to do better research. No. But the arcade dimension. What is it about arcades that like drew you to that as like something you want to incorporate in your stuff?
Well, like I said, like, I've always been like intrigued by arcades, like for like a long time, just like, and I think it's just like the process of like it being like it's sort of this like dimensional like space essentially just like came naturally, like when I like wanted to like incorporate like that into like my stream setup, for example. Like this background that I'm in right now, I did this all by myself.
yeah, that's impressive. Like, because I think I've heard you talk about this before, but that background is just basically reminiscent of like the floors that you would see in the arcades, right? Like those
arcades, rolling like roller skating rinks, bowling alleys, like all that kind of stuff.
It's that weird like obscure but yet like you feel at home when you see that carpet, however dirty it may be at that moment because some kid spilled their soda on the ground.
Oh Jesus. Don't remind me of the smell.
Hey, it's your dimension, all right? You can make it as you know, wonderfully smelling or as dirtily smelling as you make it. You're the one that runs
Jesus
that
Christ. Well, like, it's not my fault that, like, it can smell, like, all the time because, like, the dimension is filled with, like, little, like, puffballs called, like, arcade mins. Like, they call themselves arcade mins, and I was just like, I don't know where they came from. They were there, like, when I first arrived at the dimension, and I was just like, blame them, not me.
Well, I mean, you're the one that can also, like, tell everyone to get out if they want to, all right? Like,
I
mean... what are they gonna do? Come, you know, freaking, like, overtake you and overmass you like they're the puffballs from Star Trek? Like, what are they gonna do?
They try, but, like, they don't. They're, like, not as, like, they're
strong?
Mischievous. Yeah, they're not as strong as, like, you would assume. They're just, like, they just want to, like, play around, like, loaf around, like, in the arcade, just, like, sometimes they, like, sleep in the ball pit, like, and whatnot.
Like, I was gonna say, like, the arcade dimension, like, ever since you really introduced that as part of, like, your aesthetic or whatnot, you know, ever since you've more or less encapsulated that realm or whatnot, it's been really fun to see, like, for example, some of the things that you like to do with the backgrounds or like with your borders or whatnot in order to incorporate like some of that fun arcade aspect or whatnot.
Yeah.
Like correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't like one of your like backgrounds, like whenever you're just chatting or whatnot, it's just like the arcade dimension, but there's also like a portal to where like one of the arcade machines is just like floating like into it?
I mean, technically it's not a portal, but it is just like arcade cabinet just floating around.
No, it's just...
No, it's not even an arcade cabinet, it's a claw machine.
That's a claw machine, even better.
And said claw machine, like, is, like, where, my gaming setup is.
That's right, yeah, because, like, I see how you basically have set it to where, like, the gaming thing is actually, like, basically people looking into the claw machine. Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Correct, yeah.
Especially how you have like the little plushies on the ground or whatnot. Like it's so adorable. It's so perfect. Like I could be gushing on for days because I think I think you and I are very similar when it comes to like that kind of like the fun and the appeal of a place like that and just like going in and having a good time. And especially for you, incorporating that into your setup and kind of letting the people that come into your stream just kind of know, hey, we're all here to have fun. We're all here to have a good time. So grab a few tokens. Go to the machine, see if you can get yourself that plush bunny you've been wanting so badly, and let's just have some fun.
Exactly.
And I mean, ever since you've been able to really like present yourself so far, like it's been really cool to see like more or less the impact that you've kind of had. I mean, ever since you've really been able to present yourself, whether it was the first iteration of Roshan or how you've been able to redesign it to the current iteration that we see right now, to even the 3D version of you, which I think is just absolutely insane. Shout out. Sorry, you go ahead.
I was gonna say shout out to Shiver J for like, basically like they're able to like they do like a really good job at like taking like somebody's 2D design and like really incorporating it to like a 3D like model. Like they're nuts. Like I like can't recommend like looking into Shiver J's work like enough. Like they were able to like incorporate like my like silly like design aspects of like this like 2D form and like really like make it like work in 3D. Like they're amazing. And if you're interested in like getting a 3D model of like any sorts, whether it's for streaming, making videos, or like whatever, I can't recommend Shiver J enough.
I cannot either. I need to get back in touch with them because I've wanted to have them on the podcast for a hot
moment. Please!
I need to get back. Like I said, it's been a minute, and I feel bad for losing out of touch with them, but I definitely need to get back in touch with them.
Do it!
Do it!
Do it!
I was like, that's another fun aspect that I just love as well. Like some of your the things that people use like the channel points for, like whether
Redeems?
It's simple, the redeems, whether it's as simple as the just do it or
Yeah, from OKKO.
OKKO. Like, I'm curious, like how much thought have you actually put into those redeems, and how much of it was just this is funny, let's do this.
A mix of both, to be honest. Like a lot of the like like that, and also like a few of the redeems like that like that are just like pop-ups of videos, like are just like like let's make this a redeem, why not, kind of deal. The one that like gets frequented the most is the Doctor, turn off my boo womp inhibitors. Because I think like
I always forget about that one.
I made sure to give credit to the person who made that.
Mm-hmm.
They're like cracked, and I definitely like want like their ad to I put in the effort to like add their ad on the video so that people will know who made that, because I'm that kind of person. But literally that came about because like one of my mods one of my friends who's also a mod in my streams, they were like, make that into a channel point redeem. I'm like, okay, why not? And then everybody started using it. And like it's gotten to the point where just like when the time comes and I actually play the Metal Gear Solid games, and especially like Metal Gear Revengeance, where that game that's from like that's a parody of, it's just gonna be like
there's no way you can't like have it be used nonstop by your audience.
Exactly.
Goodness. I would say for me personally, I don't like, one of my favorite redeems that you've had is like the instant meme maker or whatnot, to where like
oh yeah,
like you redeem it, you type it wherever you want, and then just boom, like you're the meme. Yeah, like the classic bottom text one.
Yeah, I'm sad that like because like I use Mix It Up for that, and like it's a really good program, but like for some reason like it's just couldn't work like no matter what I did. So like that's why I had to let's just say put it aside. I didn't want to scrap it because like maybe like at some point I'll like bring it back. But like it's one of those things where it's like depending on like how things go, I may have to like put like stricter restrictions so that people won't include slurs in their things, you know?
Yeah. No, there's some people that use it for evil, and then and then there's people like me that just use it for memes. Like my personal favorite one that I remember making is, and I'll flash up on the screen right now, is just Hollow Knight, Silk Sonic.
Do I want to give context for that itself?
Do I? Like, I don't remember if I think you were playing Hollow Knight and I just happened to pop in and just be like, oh, this will be a fun thing or whatnot. That's just, I don't know why.
Yeah, like I have the clip somewhere that maybe you can show it up on screen like at some point for context, but I was like reminiscing about like how people were like so like insistent on like wanting to like get news about Silk Song,
right.
And then like for some reason I slipped. Like it was like you could say it's a Freudian slip where it says instead of Silk Song, I said Silk Sonic, as in the band with Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak. I think because I had Silk Sonic like music in my mind at that point, it just happened.
I'm pretty sure by the time that happened, like their music had released like what, within like the past month or so, like their
probably,
full album
yeah.
or not. I mean,
yeah, like I think Smoking Out the Window was like one of their newer songs at that point.
This bitch got me paying for this.
I can't believe that part became a meme.
Oh my god, like especially, I mean, because it's so simple but it's so blunt, because like you have, especially in the moment that they meme more than anything else, you have Anderson .Paak being overly dramatic in the moment, and then
yeah, I forgot.
and then basically the music kind of cuts out except for when Bruno speaks, just going, this bitch got me. Like just simple, blunt, to the point. It's perfect meme material, okay?
Yeah, it's so good.
Give Bruno Mars all the money. I'm pretty sure he still needs it.
And Anderson .Paak.
And obviously Anderson .Paak. I was making the joke of Bruno Mars's gambling debt that he apparently has. Anyways.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm sorry. I love Bruno Mars. I've been obsessed about his newest song with Lady Gaga, like for the past like week or so alone.
Mm-hmm.
Die with a Smile. That song is phenomenal.
Mm.
Anyways, but I'm glad you actually brought up like that being a clip or whatnot, because I can only imagine, especially with what you've been able to present so far as Roshan or whatnot, you've had to have like plenty of memorable moments and memorable streams or whatnot. Do you personally?
Oh yeah.
Do you personally have like a favorite moment or a favorite stream since you've really started VTubing that you can think of?
Favorite moment, there's like a lot to choose from, but like there's a lot that like I tend to go back to like every now and then. Some of my favorites like have like derived from like when I would like stream My 90s TV, which for those of you who don't know, it is a website that is essentially a TV browsing simulator that like you can like go through like different channels, like quote unquote channels of TV from different decades, from the 50s all the way to the 2000s. Another amazing streamer who I want to give another shout out to is Callie Bunny. She is the one who introduced me to that website, and it's like because she's also a retro like arcade inspired VTuber who I highly recommend. And it just like came to be, and like a lot my chat really loves like going through like the 90s stuff, like 90s TV and early 2000s stuff, like especially. And some of my favorite stuff like has like derived from like just me just going through like different channels and just like seeing like what pops up, because like the channels are completely random and I've seen some good and bad shit, because sometimes you get gold while other times you get a landmine.
Yeah.
So you have to be very careful, because some things from that era, while things were good, some things are questionable at best.
Let's just say, you know, the 90s were certainly an era, but just like in any sort of era, some things just don't age too well.
No, unfortunately not. But in terms of like one of my favorite moments, that I can think of off the top of my head was I was like doing this stream where I was like going through some like Muppet VHS like snippets like back to back. One of them was like the first episode of Fraggle Rock on YouTube, and I had the YouTube captions on, and they were like, why did Gobo, like, as in, like, one of the characters, like, why did Gobo, like, do this, blah, blah, blah. And the YouTube caption said Goku for some reason, and I lost it.
Why did Gobo have to get his...
Why did Goku have to get the postcard? Goku, what the fuck? Where did Goku come from? Goku, what the, Goku? Goku! Fraggle Ball Z! I'm losing my fucking mind! Oh my god! I lost it! Because I was like, where did Goku come from?
Did it!
And a friend of mine in chat was like, Fraggle Ball Z, and I was losing it!
Last time on Fraggle Ball Z.
Literally! In terms of streams, like, this is like a very old one. Like, I think I still have the VOD and it's saved in my archives somewhere. But it was, for me, one of them is like playing through Tattletale.
Oh, yes. Yes. Oh my god, I remember those streams.
Yeah, I'm glad you do. That like was like, I was just like so in the zone that I was able to like complete the game, and also like the bonus thing that they added, which like I'm not gonna, like, if you haven't played Tattletale, I'm not gonna say too much about it, because it's one of those games where the best way to experience it is to know next to nothing about it.
Yep. Because I know whenever I was watching those streams or whatnot, I had no idea what to expect going into it. I had never heard anything about the game whatsoever, but seeing you play through it, especially like some of the reaction and some of the energy you had brought to it or whatnot, and especially with like, I felt like you obviously had a little bit of a nostalgia going into it as well, because in fact how the game is set up more or less. Like,
oh yeah,
I felt like it was a really cool experience. I could see why streams like those were like ones that reminisce well in your mind.
Oh, for sure.
Ah, goodness. And I am so glad you brought up the 90s TV because I have purposely held back on this topic for a very specific reason or whatnot. But I feel like we cannot talk without talking about the 90s. Roshan, I want to talk about the 90s a lot with you.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. I know you kind of hinted at it a little bit, but what is it about the 90s that you personally cling on to and absolutely love just kind of exploring just about it? Like, what is it about the 90s that you love?
Well, first of all, I was born in that decade.
That's a good start.
Well, even though, like, it was, like... I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like just the vibe of it, some of the like media that came from it, from TV to movies to music, to video games even. Like it's just like the vibe of that just really connected with me, and like there's just like some good aesthetics that like have come from that era that like I think some people have like forgotten about when they talk about like old nostalgic like 90s stuff, because they like I seen like a lot of like while doing my own research on like 90s designs, some people tend to like only focus on like a small aspect of it, but there's like so much more stuff that like came from the 90s that like are just like way cooler, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you dig down into it or whatnot. There is so much of the culture that even today that still feels the effects of what happened in the 90s, because there's so much cool stuff, whether it's stuff that people reminisce about or maybe not think so much about. I mean, the music that we have these days or whatnot is still feeling some of the major effects of what we had back then. Hell, some of the artists from there are still thriving and surviving here in the 2020s when we're recording this or whatnot.
Oh yeah.
I mean, obviously a lot of the TV shows and a lot of the IPs that either started in the 90s or really thrived in the 90s are still having a major influence on some of the stuff that we have today. I mean, I'm pretty sure we could go on for ages just talking about like all sorts of different aspects of the 90s.
Yeah, I know.
And that's the point. I want to talk about the 90s. I mean, like, for you, okay, I'm gonna start by asking this. If there's one thing from the 90s that you personally have to look at and be like, that fully encapsulates the 90s as a whole, if there's one particular thing from that era that you think is like the perfect epitome of what the 90s was, what is that one thing for you?
I have to really think about it.
I'm gonna go ahead and say mine, and I feel like it's cheating, but I'm still gonna say it or whatnot. Just Nickelodeon as a whole. Like a lot of the cartoons that Nickelodeon like started off with in the 90s or whatnot are still some of the ones that people hold near and dear to this day. I mean, you look at Rugrats, you look at Hey Arnold. Technically, SpongeBob did start in the 90s. SpongeBob did start in the 90s. So
it did.
I'm still counting it.
I distinctly remember when SpongeBob premiered. I distinctly remember like when the first episode came out, and like I was hooked ever since.
Right.
Like even to the point where like my parents like also watched it.
Right.
Speaking of SpongeBob, I always like I say this every single time, but I always find it amusing that like I've heard people who say like my parents never made me watch SpongeBob because they think like it would make me stupid or something. And I tell that to my parents, and they always laugh their ass off because, like, they love SpongeBob as much as I do, so...
I was gonna say, like, especially to those parents, it's like, oh, you shouldn't watch SpongeBob, it's stupid. Look at what those parents were watching in the 80s or whatnot. Like,
yeah.
Thundercats, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I love the Turtles or whatnot, but, like...
Looney Tunes!
Yeah, Looney Tunes, like...
Tom and Jerry, like, that guy, like, that's in a way, that's kind of worse than SpongeBob in some regard.
Yeah, exactly. But, like, that's why I'm saying, like, Nickelodeon, especially in the 90s or whatnot, you look at that, and that just fully encapsulates what the 90s were. It was unique, it was different, it was something to where it's kind of showcased, and the effects of that are definitely still felt to this day. Hashtag stand with animation.
Stand with animation, yes. And, in that regard, I would also say Cartoon Network.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
Cartoons.
Cartoons, which spawned so many of the shows that people love and hold near to these days. I mean, good lord.
Powerpuff Girls, Courage the Cowardly Dog, Johnny Bravo. Like, the list goes on with that alone. And also, even though, though like this like was around like from the 90s to the 2000s, Boomerang.
Yes.
The music for Boomerang, oh my god, like it still like holds near and dear to me to this day.
I know this is probably not 90s. I'm pretty sure this premiered like later on or whatnot. But from Boomerang, do you remember specifically the Josie and the Pussycats music, like the music medley, how they go through like the different genres or whatnot?
Yes. I remember that. Like I love that so much.
That is the one that I loved more than any of the other ones that they did. Not that the other ones were bad, but that was one that I always held near and dear. If I ever get an opportunity to talk to anyone that worked on that project, I would die a happy person.
That would be an amazing opportunity. I hope that happens.
Like, whether it's for the podcast or just offhand on its own, that is a dream to talk to someone that worked on that, because it was a simple idea. What if Josie and the Pussycats were all these different music genres? And they, like, not only did they execute the music properly, but the animation for that show is crisp. It is clean. All the different genres, all different styles that they put in that. Like,
technically, that really peak, and technically even though it was in the 2000s, it's still like because it's one of those things where like aspects of the 90s, like similar to how like aspects of the 80s went into the 90s, aspects of the 90s went into the 2000s, so that's why like I love like my like vibe of the aesthetics is kind of a conglomerate of all of that, but mainly the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think you and I could both agree that although the 90s is a very strong thing, just kind of the media and the culture that kind of spawned from that is something that we still love and appreciate to this day. I mean, heck, if you want to go one step further when it comes to like how the stuff from then is affected something we do now, a lot of the good superhero animated shows from the 90s, like X-Men and Spider-Man, they technically were kind of the blueprint for a lot of the Marvel stuff they're doing these days.
Yes, especially X-Men.
Yes, especially X-Men.
I still think about the theme song from the 90s X-Men to this day. Even though I never watched it as a kid, just like hearing it, I'm just like, holy shit, this is badass.
Iconic, classic, perfect. I mean, hell, even the fact that a lot of the stuff from the 90s have been turned into the memes of today's generation has to account for something.
Exactly. More so the 90s than like the 80s. Let's just say that much.
I mean, for God's sakes, whenever you get to a point to where a meme from a show in the 90s is recreated by an actor in 2024 to help promote a movie, when it comes to whenever Wolverine recreated the Wolverine meme from
my god, you're right, he did!
That's gotta account for something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I need to rewatch the 90s X-Men, and also especially with the recent X-Men 97, yes.
I need to sit down and watch it, because I just know that like my nostalgia is gonna like hit really hard, especially whenever that starts playing. That, and I am endlessly waiting to see what Jeff Trammell is gonna be doing with the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man when that animated show gets released.
Yes.
Which is another guest I need to get on the podcast at some point to talk about that. And
do it.
Let's do it.
Do it.
Now I also ask this, because you said there's a lot of stuff from the 90s that even people today don't remember, but like you feverishly like just absolutely love it. If there's one thing from the 90s that people did not love and appreciate back in the 90s that you would bring back just to see if people would love and appreciate it today, what would that one thing be?
The coffee aesthetics, the coffee shop aesthetics.
Oh, yes. Okay. Fair. That is extremely valid, because like, especially with how coffee shops today are just Starbucks.
Not that great.
It's just Starbucks.
Or yeah, like people tend to forget how distinct coffee shop aesthetics were at that point. Like it's like I still remember like there's like a specific name for it. Like I can't remember off the top of my head, but there are like websites that's like talk about like aesthetics from like the old era, and like if you're able to like look into it, it has a specific name. You can maybe like put it up on screen if you're able to.
If I can find it, it'll go right here.
Yes. But it's such a like you can see like so many aspects of like so many different like cultures and whatnot, like and like just like in a way that like makes it like stand out. Like to me, like it still stands out to this day, and like I remember being so happy when I found out that it actually has a name to it. Like I was like, oh my god! Like I remember this era of art from my childhood, and I was like devastated when like some like coffee shops that like even though my mom would like bring me to like no longer had those aesthetics. Like I was devastated when like they got rid of those because like another thing about the 90s that like I feel like isn't like as talked about that but like needs to be brought back is maximalism.
Oh, yes, instead of the opposite minimalism that people have adopted these days. Like, goodness.
I know, like, some minimalism stuff can be good, but sometimes it can be a little bit overdone.
It's like...
And not in a good way.
It's like there's minimalism, and then there's minimalism. And,
yes.
and we don't need minimalism. We need something.
Yeah, we need, like... Yeah, I can understand, like, how some aspects of maximalism can be a little bit too much, but, like, sometimes, like, I prefer that than just, like, barely anything.
Yeah. I mean, for goodness sakes, look at our backgrounds right now. I mean...
I know, right?
And speaking of your background, in fact, I know we kind of talked about that when it comes to the arcade aspect, but I think another aspect, that's a good encapsulation of the 90s aesthetic as well. At least just like the 90s aesthetics as a whole, like how well do you think you feel like you've encapsulated that into how you've been able to present yourself, both as Roshan and otherwise?
I think I've been able to do like a good job, like to the point where like I've even like had people like come to me with like some of the artwork I did or just like my streams in general, and they just like immediately like thought 90s or thought like, oh, this reminds me of like arcades or like bowling alleys or something like along those lines. And like I feel like that alone has like made me feel like I've achieved something.
Well, there you go. I mean, I know it should make you feel like you've achieved something, and I should know a thing or two about people coming up to you, especially when it comes to the 90s aesthetic, because in fact it's because of you that the next step for the podcast is here. Now, for those that are wondering what in the world I'm exactly talking about, when this episode drops, it should be literally 2 days before the 4-year anniversary of the Postmodern Art Podcast. The fact that I have been running this thing for 4 years is something that wows me to this day. And, you know, I decided to do something a little above and beyond for this one. I decided that, you know, in order to keep moving forward, I wanted to do a little bit more fun. And part of doing that a little bit more fun is providing a little bit more fun with just how we present ourselves. And I figured the best way to present ourselves is by incorporating someone that knows a lot about the fun and the aesthetic that I'm more or less looking for. And that is why I've recruited Roshan Galaxy in order to present you guys the fantastic new logo for the Postmodern Art Podcast. See it before you right now!
Yeah!
Look at this beautiful thing. The colors that just go right into your face. I have been gushing about this to my producers. I've been gushing about this to my partner. Hi, Christine.
Hello.
I know whenever I initially went up to you about you doing something a little bit different when it comes to the logo, you came back to me and you're like, actually, what if we tried, you know, updating it a little bit more than that? What if we tried doing a little bit more? I'm curious. What made you want to go forth whenever I came up to you about using something different and just being like, I like it, but we could do better?
I think one reason is because I just like had the aesthetics tabs like on my person like while I was like right when you like came up to me to like do the redesign, and I was like, I could remake it, but you know what? I think we can add more to it. And I was like looking through the designs. I'm like, hey, looking through like these designs, like which one of these like would you like go like what like which one of these like speak to you and the podcast, like that I can like incorporate those designs into the new logo. And you chose some really good stuff, and I incorporated like everything from like what I saw into the new logo. And I'm happy that like with how it came out and how like you like helped like make this pop.
I mean, if I remember correctly, I believe the specific like aesthetic name design or whatnot. At least first half of it. It's called Rad Dog, if I remember correctly.
Yes, and Neon Shark.
And Neon Shark. There you go. To kind of peel back the curtain just a little bit, I had initially came up to you because I want to just basically make this the official logo of the podcast. That's what I initially just wanted to do. Because, like, people loved it. People loved this design. And so I'm like, I want to just make this the design. But then you came back to me and you're just like, well, actually, as cool as that is, I have a different idea. Just work with me. Just hear me out. Just hear me out. Hear me out. You presented me that kind of stuff. I'm like, okay. Yeah, let's do a little bit of this. Let's incorporate that a little bit to this. I thought you were just gonna like redo some of the wording or whatnot, and just like maybe like make it a little bit more clean or whatnot. But the fact that you've basically gone full on redesign with that logo and presented this beautiful piece that you've got before us right now, like I cannot thank you enough, Roshan, for all that you've done with this. Like I'm just genuinely curious on like. I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. That's just like I will say, a little behind, insider baseball for the people watching at the time we're recording this. We've got the basic design down. It's just getting the finishing touches on it at this point. But like, even then, with what I'm seeing at this point, like whenever I do see that finished product or whatnot, oh, Roshan, people are going to love it. People are going to go insane for it. Oh.
I bet. Because like, I was not expecting, cause like, another like little behind the scenes fact, for those of you who don't know, the shirt that Post is wearing right now, it started off as a as an icon, like a design that I just like whipped up on the spot for the initial icon of Roya's episode, and then you were like, hey. You came up to me like sometime later, be like, hey, I think this would be a good t-shirt. Why not make it an official design? And it became an official design to the point where like I've even seen people use the same design in their own icons. And I'm like, what?
I'll say I'll be flashing up one here, 1, 2, 3, flashing up one here, 1, 2, 3. Because like it's a good. I know the most recent person to do it was Openock, which taking that and kind of doing his own like little twist on it with more the oddly enough kind of the minimalist color of it instead of like the super duper bright colors or whatnot. But still, like I love that like just aesthetic at the. I love the aesthetic of this at the beginning because whenever it's amazing how this snowballed into us right now presenting the new logo for the podcast. Like it's
I know, right? I like never thought it would just like come up like end up this way, to be perfectly honest.
Again, enter Paul Rudd meme of who would have thought?
Who'd have thought? Not me.
Not me.
Like opening the hot sauce.
But I mean, like, I gotta imagine, like, for you, like, especially as you're still working on this logo and really getting like the finishing touches on it as we're speaking or whatnot, like, how proud are you of the logo the more you get to work and tinker with it?
I'm pretty proud of it. Like, I'm glad I was able to like incorporate like so many design elements like from like that like the Rad Dog Neon Shark like aesthetic into it. I like was like a little worried I might have been just like one for one copying it, but like from like what I can tell, like I've like done it in a way that I feel like it's like unique enough that like it just like stands out on its own. And I'm very curious on like how like by the time like this comes up, like this like episode comes up, like how like the reactions to like the official logo reveal is going to be.
I mean, I would certainly hope that the official reveal is that people are going to absolutely love it as much as I have, if not more. And and hopefully they will show that love by going to the merch shop right now when this episode is going live, to where you can see the brand new merch line that features this fantastic logo and such. Obviously, we don't. I don't have it time, but trust me, as soon as I get that logo ready and stuff, I'm gonna order a shirt immediately. But like to where you can get the original logo as well as some variants for the different pride elements, gay, lesbian, bisexual, or did I say bisexual? Non-binary.
Yes, you did.
Thank you. Thank you for covering my track. Transgender, pansexual, like different elements of that or whatnot, to where half of the proceeds will go directly back to Roshan because they absolutely deserve it. It's their design. It's their design. I want to make sure they're compensated for it. And also, aside from the actual logo, the original logo, all the Pride logos will go to one of two charities, either the Trans Lifeline or Lambda Literary, which uses their funds to help authors in the LGBTQ plus community get their books published and such. Which is especially in today's society, to where it's very hard to get a book more or less published and out there or whatnot. And especially whenever we need to be, taking certain authors that really should not be having their opinions out there, especially with how horrible, homophobic or transphobic their statements can be or whatnot. And instead, giving that money to people that actually want to, put out good stories and, have a good message behind that kind of stuff, Not singling out anyone particular. J.K. Rowling! Sorry, I think that might be the black mold somewhere in the background. Anyways,
What?
Oh, do you not know about that story?
No.
Oh, I'll tell this and I might keep it in or whatnot. So,
no.
Well, here's the thing. As J.K. Rowling was doing, like...
Never mind, I know.
No, okay, I'm definitely going to add at least this little explanation part out about it or whatnot. But yeah, that's why that might be the black mold in the background.
Yeah, I was like, wait, was it on your end or no?
No, I'm talking about J.K. Rowling.
I was like, wait a minute.
I know my room is a little messy, but Jesus, cut me some slack.
Sorry, my bad.
You're good. But anyways, back to what we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to just the logo itself, I'm sincerely hoping that people do get this logo. They buy it one way or another, whether it be on shirts, hats. I might even do a sneaker design, but I'll get back to y'all on that one.
Ooh.
Because actually, while I'm here. Because I have it sitting right over here. I'm pretty sure I'm the only person in the world right at this moment that does own the retro logo sneaker. So... Which, it's really cool. I want to wear these more often, but it's a pain to just, get these things on with the shoelace. I'm not used to wearing,
Oh, God, yeah.
I'm not used to wearing Converses, that's all. I'm used to just, slipping on shoes and easy tying. Anyways, that's aside from the point. But especially with this logo, I absolutely love how you've been able to go about it. Not just, taking what we already had and just expanding on it, but more or less, adding your own spin and making it this wholly different, vibrant thing that I really think should encapsulate what the podcast is all about. This kind of fun and cheery disposition that really shines bright, especially the people that I'm bringing on here, letting them to shine and be as colorful and creative as the logo is. That's why I think I love and appreciate. I don't know if that's something you consciously had in mind as you were designing the logo, or if it's just an aesthetic that you just loved. Either way, I cannot tell you how much I love and appreciate what you've been able to do so far with the logo, and especially the final product, because I know it's going to be phenomenal, and I sincerely hope people love it as much as I do, if not more.
Yeah, I'm very happy about that.
I can only imagine, for you, you said it's wild for you to think that we're at this point to where this is, the new logo, this is going to be how the podcast is going to be branding itself in the future and whatnot. So I can only imagine, for you, how cool it is to know that you have such an impressive fingerprint on this podcast at the end of the day.
I know, right?
Don't get me wrong, especially with your Vtuber model, you have some big hands, so that fingerprint is certainly certainly felt. But I can only I have to ask just bluntly, how surreal is it to know that this look, this aesthetic that you're presenting is going to be such an integral part of what we're doing here.
Absolutely surreal, to say the least.
I appreciate that. I genuinely do.
I'm glad.
It makes me also curious, though, you're having a fun time doing this logo or whatnot. It makes me curious if you had an opportunity of any logo to just take and redesign with either a similar aesthetic or just whatever kind of aesthetic you want. If you could redesign any logo, what would it be?
That's a good question. Literally, it's one of those things where it's it's hard to say because there's a lot of logos from the 90s that are very distinct, and like encapsulate like the maximalist like aspects of it, like to the point where like even to this day there are people who are like, I like wish we could go back to this era of like design work that
Right.
and like literally it's one of those things where it's like I can't like like my way of like trying to incorporate like some like any like logo into like my own would just to be taking inspiration from logo designs from the 90s and incorporating into that.
I mean, it doesn't have to be like a big business or whatnot. If it could be just like a VTuber or maybe like a smaller brand or something like that, or maybe like, you know, some buddies that you know like have like a animation company or whatnot. You want to like redesign their logo or whatnot. Like, I'm curious if any of them pop to mind, or if you're just kind of like, just give me like the old '90s logos back, like for all of these for all of these companies. Just give me what they had in the '90s. Make that the logo now.
Yeah. That's a good question. If I were to choose one, I would like to do like my own version of the Soundflower Club.
Oh yes, yes indeed. Like
Wink, wink.
if you know, you know. Because I mean, because their aesthetic is very. I feel like their aesthetic is fairly like 60s, 70s ish or whatnot. So like to see you kind of tinker with it and give it more or less like a 90s flair to it would be a fun, unique twist on it, more or less.
Yeah, I would say so. Also, yeah.
And man, I maybe if we knew someone who knew Jen really close. Oh wait, sorry, I've interviewed them before.
I was gonna say.
Hey, you know, it might happen in the future. You never know.
You never know. Yeah, that's true.
But speaking of the future, or at least not the future yet, but thinking back to all that we've been able to talk about, whether it be with the logo or obviously back to like your VTubing stuff, like you've developed like quite a bit. You've developed quite a following as well when it comes to like what you've been able to present as Roshan, whether it's some of the good friends such as, you know, not to brag, but yours truly.
Yeah.
But like, you know, not only that, being able to grow the audience that you've had ever since you've really like devoted yourself to like VTubing and stuff, and really have all these really cool and fun opportunities to present yourself. Like, are you more or less impressed with how well you've been able to develop yourself as Roshan?
I would say so, but like I would also say that like there's like so much like room for improvement in the sense of like not that like what I already have like isn't good enough, but it's like one of those things where it's like I like the more I do it, the more I'm like I want to do better. I want to like not really go above and beyond like too much, but to the point where it's like I want to add like more to what I've got.
I can only imagine. I'm curious if there's anything you want to add, at least to my audience, when it comes to what we should know about Roshan in general. You know, any maybe like nuggets of lore or something like that.
Well, there is a reason why I'm fond of the beach.
Oh.
And there is a reason why I'm in the arcade dimension. Not really stuck in the arcade dimension, but I just like go like
That's your
go
comfort
to and from
zone.
there. Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Is that something
Like
Sorry.
like I would some might assume that I'm stuck here, but no, I just like come by whenever I want to.
Yeah, I mean, you have the ability to go to whatever dimension you want. I mean, you.
Literally,
Yeah.
not any dimension, but only ones I know of.
Oh.
Like there's a limit to it. There's a limit.
Okay, so there's one nugget of lore right there. Just that. I didn't realize. But I'm curious. You said there's a reason why you like the beach, and there's a reason why you keep going back to the arcade dimension. I'm wondering if you want to divulge, if you want to leave that up to the people to figure out on their own.
Well, I do plan on releasing some form of a lore video in the future. That may answer those questions. Another like bit of like 90s like media nostalgia, yeah. But yeah, like in the future, not the near future, but like later on, I do plan on releasing a not really in depth, but like my like version of a lore video to like kind of like explain like how I discovered the arcade dimension, to say the least.
Okay. Sorry, wow, sorry, I got something caught in my throat right there. Jesus.
Oh no.
Okay. Well, you are certainly weaping the wepping. Jesus.
Wepping.
You're certainly wepping. No. You weapon that Wescoey Wabbit. Anyways, you are certainly whetting the appetites of both your audience and mine when it comes to that little aesthetic and that little lore. And I can already tell whenever that lore video does decide to drop, we will be firmly planted watching and enjoying it. But aside from the lore video, it makes me curious, what should we expect from Roshan in the future?
Maybe some music covers?
Oh.
If you like Vocaloid, you'll be very interested in what I have in mind.
Oh, you are very much teasing right now, and I greatly appreciate that.
I'm glad.
Because I personally know how much you love the Vocaloid stuff, so to hear that you're actually taking the swing at it or whatnot, it makes me excited because I know that love of it more than anything else is going to be shining bright whenever you present it.
Oh, for sure. I'm very excited. When that time comes.
Well, until then, when it comes to that time or whatnot, how about I give you another time, or at least another dimension that you can, integrate yourself into, to where I want to give you more or less the dream scenario, Roshan, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say I am Big Shot Mr. Moneybags. I come up to you and I'm like, hey, Roshan, we know you're doing some fantastic stuff. We see what you've done with the place. Absolutely phenomenal. We know you can do a lot more. We just feel like you just need a little extra push, a little extra platform to get there. We have access to everyone and anyone in whatever industry possible, and more money than should be possible. We really should be focusing on paying those animators that are striking right now. They absolutely deserve it. Once again, hashtag stand with animation.
Agreed.
But we'll take care of them a little bit, we promise. Right now, we're focusing on you and you alone. If given this opportunity, what would be the dream Roshan Galaxy project?
The dream Roshan Galaxy project. It would be... The dream project for me right now would be to collab with Remus and Kiki.
Okay. Any particular reason why those are the ones that come to mind?
They are my favorite animation duo.
That's valid. That's extremely valid. Especially with Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, I can just imagine how they would incorporate my design and my aesthetics in their own animation style, because if you've seen what they are able to do, it was just
I really need to find more animation duos and stuff like that, because the only there's only a couple of others I can think of, and I don't know if I'd really consider them a couple or at least good friends or whatnot, but Doug and Swift is one.
Doug and Swift, yeah.
Those two are
they're
really
they're not only amazing animators, but they're also amazing streamers. Yes. And amazing authors, because they made a graphic novel together that is also in a big inspiration of mine. And another animation duo that I love so much is Small Boo.
Yep, Small Boo. That's right. I almost forgot about them. There's them. I was also gonna say Nosebug and their partner. Or at least wait.
Nosebug? Wait! Wait!
Am I
Nosebug, wait.
Nosebug, wait.
Are you talking about Big Nosebug?
Yeah, Big Nosebug. I just forgot the big. I just forgot the big, all right? I just forgot the big.
You literally forgot the pig. Which is funny because I mod for Big Nosebug on her Twitch channel, so that makes it even more funny. I was like, wait a minute, is that who I think you're talking about?
I just forgot the pig.
Who knows? Maybe you can have her and mods come into the podcast at some point. I think they would be down for that.
I would love to have Big Nosebug on the podcast at some point. I really would, especially with how they've been able to present themselves as well. Especially with the recent wrinkle about the working at a theme park or whatnot. That's a really cool layer.
I know
to their aesthetic more than anything else.
I've seen their aesthetic evolve throughout the years, and just where she is now just amazes me.
Absolutely. But regardless, that is an incredible dream scenario for you as well. But sadly, we gotta get down from the dream scenario. We gotta get back to reality, and I'll ask the ever so generic question: where do you hope to
Ever
see
so.
Yeah.
I was about to be ever so generic.
Yep. Where do you hope to see yourself in, say, 5 to 10 years when it comes to at least VTubing and streaming?
I would say that not full time, but like I would like to have like streaming be like a part-time aspect of my life.
Okay.
Where I can like just like stream whenever, like put up like stuff that I like stuff that I make whenever, and like just like have fun with it, because like I'm the kind of person where it's like, I've mentioned this before, but like I don't see myself as a full-time streamer because there's like so much more to my life that I want to do outside of streaming. But like I have gotten to the point where it's like I love streaming so much that like I want it to be like a part of my life. So yeah.
Well, there you go. There you go. I mean, especially with how much you've been able to dedicate to it. I think something I forgot to mention earlier or whatnot is, at least when it comes to like the aesthetic and all that stuff, that's literally all you. Like, you literally did all the art. You literally designed yourself.
I did. And some people like don't believe that like I did like a majority of like the artwork myself.
I was gonna say, like, how long did it take for you to really like nail down the Roshan design?
A bit, like maybe like if I were to take a like guess on like the estimate time, like maybe like a month or two.
Oh wow. And like,
yeah, like it took a while to like nail the design down to the point where like I like was able to like present it. And I've like, it's one of those things where it's like comparing like old Roshan to like current Roshan is like night and day.
I can only imagine, like, from where you like the first inspirations and aspects of it, like how we were talking about jokingly the galaxy brain aspect of it, to here we are right now to where I'm seeing this fantastic model, as well as the incredible 3D model as done by Shiver J as well. Like, I can only imagine it's leaps and bounds when it comes to seeing how it's progressed throughout the, I guess, years at this point.
Oh yeah, years. It's gonna be like 3 years in September.
Good lord, that does not feel that old.
It does not.
Like, it feels like just yesterday I first saw you debut as this.
Oh my god, I can't believe you remember that.
Well, I mean, like, because, I'll say that for the tail end. As we start to wind down the interview, I just have one last question I want to ask you, Roshan. Obviously, you're deeply entrenched in art. Like I just established, not only with how you've been able to present yourself, but all the different aspects of aesthetics that you've been able to incorporate when it comes to this incredible stuff. How important is art, not just for you, but for the world as a whole?
Extremely important. Extremely important to the point where it's like, there are aspects in your life that like would not exist without art. So really think about that.
Absolutely. I mean, I know for me it's a little, easier to point out than others, but, I mean, heck, we talked about like just whenever we were talking about logos alone, that's all art. All the logos that people see on an everyday basis, that's all art.
Some like materials and gadgets that you use would not exist without one form of an artist or another. There's like artists out there that like don't just do like drawings. Like the music that you hear, the writing that you read, they are all from artists, so it's extremely important.
Absolutely. That, I believe, is wonderfully worded, if I do say so myself.
Thank you.
Roshan, that is all the questions I have for you. I've already showered you with a whole bunch of praise, but I'm going to shower you a little bit more because it's my podcast. I do what the fuck I want. Like I said, Roshan, like I literally just said not too long ago, I feel like it was just yesterday I saw you debut as Roshan, as this incredible nebulous cloud and nebula cloud. But ever since I've been able to see you starting off as that and see you more or less grow as a streamer, as a VTuber, and as a person, more or less, like you were already an incredible person whenever I met you, again, peeking behind the curtains, whenever I met you before you decided to debut this incredible model, this incredible persona of Roshan Galaxy, which is just you amplified. Let's just be honest with ourselves. Like,
yeah, which is funny because if you really paid attention to like that particular episode, I did hint about like getting into streaming, and look where we are now.
Yeah, the fact that it's gone from there, from what we were talking about, and even the small aesthetic choices that were there otherwise, whether we realized it or not, to here we are now, years later. Like, I sincerely consider you a close friend of mine, and I'm truly honored and blessed to have you in my life. To see you more or less grow and to see you develop this way you've been able to present yourself is absolutely incredible. And you truly do own up to Roshan Galaxy. You like that is you to the fullest, and I'm so glad that people come by just by every single stream and really showcase that love, no matter how big or how small. Like really showcasing that they truly appreciate the time and effort that you put into this thing, because I can tell that you do have a true love and passion for this, and it may not be a full-time thing, but like I sincerely hope that in one way or another this continues to be a thing for you, because I can tell you're having a lot of fun with this. I know it can be frustrating sometimes, but I feel like I feel like you can also agree to this. Any sort of creative endeavor is going to be frustrating in one form or another. There's going to be some aspect of it that's always going to be a struggle and a challenge one way or another. But the fact that I can see, especially with this field, you having so much fun, not just with what you're able to present, but the people you'll be able to meet along the way and really get to interact with or whatnot, like, it makes me excited to see what's going to be next for Roshan Galaxy, because I know it's going to be a lot of fun. And I've already emphasized this enough, but I will emphasize it again and again and again. Sincerely, thank you for doing the logo as well. Whether it's this classic variation, classic retro variation or whatnot, or the new logo. Like, I could not have asked for a better person to really do this, to really take this task and really amplify what this podcast is all about. And I think you've truly nailed it, and I cannot wait for people to hopefully agree with that aesthetic, or at least love that aesthetic. Thank you for thank you for what you do, Roshan. Keep up the incredible work, because at this point, like I'm kind of like at least a backseat ride or die with you. All right, like I'm here to support you no matter what happens. All right, so keep up the awesome work.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely. Now, if people want to know why I have been gushing about you for well over, I think, an hour at this point, or however long it's been since we've started this conversation, go ahead and plug your stuff for the people at home.
You can check me out at Roshan Galaxy on Twitch, twitch.tv/Roshan Galaxy. You can find me on Twitter on Roshan Galaxy VT. VT specifically because some wisecracker, wise ass, whatever, decides to take my ad before I could even like get a chance to.
How dare they?
How dare they? But yeah, on Roshan Galaxy VT on TikTok, and like Roshan Galaxy on like all other platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and all that. I mainly like stream every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I like do a variety of I do like variety streams where like sometimes I play indie games, sometimes I play games I love, sometimes I play like rhythm games, like a bunch of other things, and sometimes I do art, and other times I just like reminisce on some nostalgic stuff like my 90s TV. So.
And who knows, maybe whenever you pop in, you might see a random green little Muppet that calls himself Mr. Moneybags there. Just saying.
Maybe, yeah. Every once in a while, yeah.
He might pop in here and there, whatnot, because he enjoys hanging out with his friend.
Yeah.
Do you have any final words before we sign off?
Thank you for entrusting me in this, like, big aspect, and, like, thank you for having my back as much as I've had your back.
Like always, Roshan. Like always.
Yeah.
Hey, what are friends for, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And with that, all I have left to say is for the people at home, if you can, like I certainly am, pay your artists.
Pretty much. Please. We need it, especially around this time. Like, right now, we especially need it.
Very much so.
Tell me what's wrong, tell me it's parts in motion. Sing me a song, tell me your eyes can open. Show me it all, put me up in the car, you go when you used to call. Show me it all.
thank you so much for sticking around to the end. If this is your first time listening, I greatly do appreciate it. This was a fun episode. I mean, like I said in the intro, and like I kind of implied throughout the episode, me and Roshan, we've known each other for years, and it's really cool to see them grow and see the artist and the personality they've more or less grown into. Roshan, if you've gotten up to this point, thank you so much for taking the time, and thank you once again for the incredible work you put forth, both for yourself and for this podcast. This podcast is honestly on a completely different level thanks to you. Your fingerprints are going to be forever, your presence is going to be forever etched into the history of this podcast, and there's nothing you can do to take that away. It was honestly, it was a very hard decision for me to go with the new logo, to go with the new look. I mean, it's not like I'm going dramatically different. Like, the most that's going to be different is, new logo. I'll see about touching up the intro just a little bit or whatnot. But, it's still the same podcast that you guys have been experiencing for almost 4 years now. By the time this episode comes out, it will literally be less than a week away from whenever we first premiered our first episode, September 17th, 2020. That is how long I've been doing this thing, folks. And look how much we've been able to grow since then. I mean, look at the incredible wealth of fantastic conversations we've been able to have. Look at the fantastic people that we have gotten to know, the fantastic friends that we've been able to make along the way, the outstanding achievements some of those guests have been able to accomplish before, during, and after our recording. And I cannot tell you how proud I am of this podcast. I know it seems simple to see, but like, I need you guys to realize this is the most I've really dedicated myself to something. This is the most I've really poured myself out. This is the thing that has creatively kept me going for years. Like, I went to college for filmmaking. There's all sorts of different aspects in my life that, I wanted to do this, I want to do that. This podcast is the most at home that I feel. This podcast is the thing that I will forever hold near and dear, and that's why I never want to stop doing it. I mean, the fact that I have been so lucky to meet such fantastic people. I mean, Roshan's a good example of that. Eldritch Grandpa, Too Much Sasha, Pinch, Iris, Aiden, Tipsy. I could go on a whole entire goddamn list. All those people that I just listed alone. And don't even get me started on the Yinsbin people. I mean, God, Ash, Tay, Trey, Rip, freaking Bill, PA, all those fantastic people, and then some that have really been by my side and have really shared that love and shared that journey with me. I mean, it's thanks to people like them that I've got to know some people that I consider not just my friends, but like my brothers and sisters. Get to know the people that I want to make sure that I'm able to spend the rest of my life knowing that they can be a part of my life in one way or another. I've been so blessed and so honored to have these opportunities to talk to such incredible people, to meet so many fantastic people, and to put out a good quality product week in, week out. Like, I know I've said it a million different times, guys, but it's thanks to you. It's thanks to each and every single one of you that takes that little bit of time to, like and retweet a post. Takes that little bit of time to spread the word, tell your buddies about it, and the people that are gracious enough to do art. I can't tell you how happy I am. I mean, the fact that we've been doing this thing for 4 years strong, it's a hell of a testament, more than anything else. And I'm so excited for what the future is going to hold for this podcast. I cannot tell you how much I cannot wait for you guys to see what's next. Hell, what's going to be happening next week is fucking huge on its own, okay? You don't know how badly I want to tell y'all what it is, but just keep an eye on the social medias over the weekend because you'll get that teaser and it's gonna be fucking insane. But that's aside from the point. What matters right now is the fact that we have been doing this for basically 4 years at this point. And like I said a million times before, and I will say it a million times again, I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. Now, granted, I'd like to get like a little bit of funding so I could, pay the artists and not have to worry about like using a credit card or anything like that. Yeah, that would be nice. Which is why I'm going to highly plug, again, check it out, the merch shop, especially with the brand new logo. It would look fantastic on y'all, just saying. But even with that little hurdle aside, there's no way I'm stopping this. And I sincerely hope you guys plan on sticking with me day in and day out, enjoying good quality conversations and making some incredible connections. Because you all are fantastic people. You all are phenomenal artists. And I sincerely hope you guys get the opportunity to grow, both as an artist and as a community. Because you are well deserving of all the love, all the praise, all of the support that you guys can possibly get. Because you all, not only you guys deserve it, y'all earned it. And I cannot tell y'all how proud I am. So here's the 4 years down. Here's the 4 more and several years more.